Welcome back. Now, I was going to ask you a question arising from what Ayobami said in Abuja about you leaving school and going on to become an entrepreneur. Now, how easy is it for a graduate to leave school and become an entrepreneur in Nigeria?
Quite difficult, I would say. And it's a mindset, it comes from your training. Unfortunately or interestingly, the example he used is that when you go to school to read history or religious studies, I actually have a first degree from the University of Ife in history and religious studies. So when he used that example, I could connect it right away.
Little did he know.
Little did he know I was talking to someone in the studio. However, what did that teach me to do? I left school. I taught for a few years in the Ministry of Education. I went to FSS Suleja. I taught in FSS Aba. I was transferred to King's College Lagos. But one day I made up my mind that looking at my salary structure, I will never be able to buy a brand new car. As a civil servant, my salary then was about 2,000 or 4,000 per annum. And I calculated the price of a brand new 505. Peugeot 505 then was 50,000 naira. And that day I made up my mind to leave the job. Because my salary for 10 years, if I saved it with interest, was the only way I'll be able to buy a brand new car. That day I made up my mind, I'm going back to school. And I went back to study law. So you are right that it is difficult on the curriculum we're taught in school to expect to become an entrepreneur. But on the other hand, if you're hungry and you are really innovative, I set up my law practice after working for 1 year under tutelage. I went into the banking industry looking for more money and came out again and said, look, I'm not making the kind of money I thought. The banking industry was collapsing. So I was forced onto the street. I had a wife, I had a child, and we had to survive. So I had to become creative and innovative in running a law firm. Now, being creative and being innovative sometimes could put you in trouble because you are not looking for how to make ends meet quickly, where you want to throw away also integrity and other issues. And those are the things you find, because when you're willing to cut costs, cut corners to make money, then you take dangerous risks. And I went into debt recovery, pursuing people for their monies that banks could not get. However, if you're willing and you're determined that you want to make a change, you will eventually. But the problem, I went into a partnership, I got partners when I realized that working by myself, I could not. Partnerships come with different challenges. It comes with difficulties. But if you are willing to sacrifice self and ego and move on, it is possible to get a lot of things done in Nigeria. The opportunities are there. I was talking earlier to my colleague, and I said, employing people is a challenge in Nigeria because everyone you employ is looking at how they can make some little money off you. You send your driver to the filling station, you are not sure he's going to buy complete amount of fuel you send him to buy. You send your maid to the kitchen, to the market, they're stealing money. They come back and shortchange you. And you find that in every sphere of the industry. So when we talk about the greatest problem we have in Nigeria is, first of all, ourselves, corruption, our leaders, and that corruption. There was a time when one of our former leaders said, corruption and stealing are different. Today, I understand the difference. Stealing is what you find, grand stealing is what you find at the top of the ladder. When the president, the vice president, and people in high authority take directly from the till. Corruption is what you find when you give someone a contract and he says, give me 10 million before I give you a contract. And
up there is stealing.
Up there stealing. And we find grand stealing. When
grand stealing.
When the president, as we have heard, says go and bring 60 billion naira from the treasury one day for no reason. Another day says go and bring $290 million, and nobody asks questions. Nothing is done about it. Nobody asks, and that's just stealing with that. I mean, you heard how some people distributed arms money that was meant to buy guns for soldiers on the street, were just distributed amongst friends. 3 people distributed $3 billion in this, what they call the Exchange Strategic Alliance contract. 3 people sat down, $3 billion, and nobody's saying anything. But rather, we find judiciary stalling, lawyers playing games. We find no consequence for bad behavior. It's what has gotten us where we are. And everybody is just looking for how to make quick gains. So running your own business is going to be a challenge for a young man who is not determined and ready to go through the process.
But you see, that thing, when you say the bulk of the citizenry appears to look like they want to make some money off you, you find out that, or they want to pilfer, or they want to take from you one way or the other, or they want to take from the system. When these same people who want to, or appear to want to take from the system, find themselves in places that have structures that work, consequences, reward and consequence systems, they sort of align. So how is it that it's not working here? And it affects hitting our economy on the negative side.
Exactly what I'm saying. That there's no.
So how do we make that work?
So we have to begin to establish a system where there's a consequence for bad behavior. Most people who behave badly because they know there's no consequence.
Get away with it.
And I'll take a simple flight out of Nigeria, for example. If you're flying out of Nigeria on British Airways, by the time you land in London Heathrow, you will find the same Nigerians in the plane queuing on the line to get out of the place on immigration, because you know that if you jump the line, you could get arrested there. But as soon as they enter the plane coming back to Nigeria, you find them fighting over luggage space in the head cabin. You find fighting when you come into Nigeria. They're jumping the queues because they know somebody in immigration, somebody has come to pull them off the line. You don't find that in any other country. And because there's no consequence for it. I mean, you don't find a British immigration official leaving the line to go and call somebody he knows out of the line. You all queue up and wait.
Is it this that is now the problem with our economy? Where, I mean, Dotun talked about jobless growth. Where I talked about no clear working plan.
No, you see, I disagreed with Dotun totally over what he said anyway. When Nwagbara said we have to be unemotional about this, I agreed with him totally. Because this is not about emotions. It's about facts and figures. When Dotun said that an unemployment rate is growing, I said, no. What has happened, and if you look in our history, in 2008, what was our population? 163 million. In 2018, what is our population today? We have 193 billion. So already from statistics, I mean, we're dealing with estimates. There's an estimated increase of almost 30 million Nigerians. By the CBN and NBS statistics, unemployment has actually dropped. We're now 88 million people unemployed as against 100 and something million when we had fewer people in Nigeria. So I don't know the basis for even reaching that conclusion. Because even if they say Nigeria is poverty capital, you're looking at the number of unemployed people vis-a-vis what you find in other parts of the world.
When you look at that unemployment, the poverty capital of the world, you're still talking against a higher population. No. The Indian population, for instance, is about 1 billion plus, and we are less than 200 million, going by the estimates we have. So if you're going to look at that point of the poverty capital, then you're still weighing against a more populous nation.
You're weighing against other. It's not only Nigeria and India that are in comparison.
Yes.
In Nigeria, in 2012, we had 112 million people unemployed. As at the end of 2018, we had 88 million people unemployed, underemployed, whereas our population has increased. So what I'm saying is that the population poverty capital issue is the number of 88 million people is more than what many countries have as population. So when you compare 88 million people unemployed people in Nigeria with the total number of people you find in Ghana, which is 47 or so million, then of course you will say there are poor people in Nigeria. But in terms of has the country moved forward? Definitely. Definitely.
Okay.
We need to get to that.
Let me ask you about infrastructure. Is our infrastructural development developing in such a way as to help our economy in any way?
Well, gradually we are moving towards it. But please, can I just have a minute to react to what
there's no time.